Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Nice.
Beckwith. Here. Dio.
Here.
Falcapisi. Here. Friedman.
Here.
Cozzini.
Here.
Rivers. Absent. We have a quorum.
At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Will, our security officer, for a short introduction into policy of the library.
Just a brief reminder, right out this door here, up the ramp, the first right is the exit sign, the second right is the washroom, the third right is the vending area. In case of an emergency and the paramedics are called, please leave some room so they can attend to the situation.
I have a question. Who calls 911?
I think we all do. If there's this, yeah. Per the discussion we had, Bob. I don't want to go off topic, but we can talk about that later.
Welcome back to our meeting in person, Mr. Deal. And Trustee Deal, if you would like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please do that.
With honor and pride. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The reading of our mission statement. The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Mission statement approved by the Board of Trustees December 13th, 2005. Number 4 on our agenda, we have a consent agenda. Any trustee may remove items from the consent agenda for separate action by the board. Do we have a motion? Oh, Mr. Katsinas, trustee.
G3, please.
Any others? No others? Would someone like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda without G3?
If I might, G1.
G1?
I move that the board approve the consent agenda, less items G1 and G3, as
Second?
presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? No discussion. Roll call.
Cozzini.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Dio.
Aye.
Friedman.
Aye.
Falcapisi.
Aye.
Rivers. Absent. Ayes have it.
Okay. As far as G3, page 77 in our packet, policy 3063, unattended children. Trustee Katsinas, would you like to address that?
Do we want to go with Bob's first, please? Or Bob, do you want to go first?
Well, you raised yours first. That's why I selected you.
I actually have to refer to my lovely wife in the audience. She brought this one to my attention, and
Okay.
she has some handouts for us. I know she wanted to speak to the board directly, but I'd rather just...
Well, it's not time for public comment,
But
so.
I agree. But
I think she's
this is
acting
relevant
as his
information.
assistant.
Okay, so if you would like to submit those to the board, that would be great. We could look at that. But I think at this point, you would need to
I
address.
understand, yes. I'll be speaking this.
Okay.
The concern that I have is the ages, specifically in the policy. Sorry. So the change in the policy that's proposed, the only concern that I have is with the ages that are proposed. We're proposing moving the age to have a child unattended in the library from 8 to 10, and to have a child watching other children from 12 to 16. that seems to be an unusually high set of numbers, and as you'll see from the handout that has been provided, it doesn't seem to fall in line with many of the other libraries in this area. This is a mix of libraries and different socioeconomic backgrounds in the area, and just to show how our policy compares with those.
For the sake of the audience, I'll just read the libraries you have listed: Waukegan, Lake Bluff, Zion, Benton, Cook, Antioch, Wakanda, Fremont, Lake Forest, and Fox Lake.
Now, just looking at this list, it's clear that the majority of libraries in our area see 8 years old as a sufficient age to be left alone in the library. Now, 12, our current policy number, is lower than average for someone watching a child in the library. The mean and the median seems to be around 14. I think that if we had those numbers, 8 and 14, I'd be much happier with this policy as presented. But I think the simple fact is libraries have always been a safe place for children to come and to learn and to grow and to explore. And we don't want to discourage our youngest patrons. We want them to come here and to think of this as their library, not some place where they have to be watched all the time by their elders, so to speak. I think that we are not fulfilling our mission very well if we are discouraging the youngest members of our population from coming here. And this is particularly with two schools right next to us: River Trail, which is a K-8 building, and the 9 and 10 building for the Warren Township High School.
Any other discussion on this? Yes, Trustee Farka-Pizzi.
I read the policy, and it said that for unattended children that we would call the police at 9 o'clock or after closing, and I think we should change that to something at the staff's discretion. Will be called at the staff's discretion, so we don't tie their hands if they feel they need to bring the police involved for an abandoned child earlier than the close of the library, or for whatever reason that they feel the police are necessary.
You want me to pass this around?
If you could. That's just a copy of the policies that were available from other area libraries.
Okay. Should we enter it in the record? We can enter that in the record. Some policies from each of these others, or some of these others?
Some
on
of
the
these,
list?
those that have policies that are formally published.
So I had. Anyone have a comment here? Yes.
I
Trustee
had a
Beckler.
question for Trustee Farka-Pizzi, which is if you have a proposed wording for how to do that.
Just at the staff's, police will be called at the staff. Police will be called at the staff's discretion.
Okay, that's in addition to who's here at closing? I'm
I mean,
confused.
they can call them at closing, but do we?
And they can also call any other time at their discretion.
So maybe I can ask a follow-up. What if the child is old enough and knows what the phone number of the parent is, and they give that to the staff member? Would that be allowed, that the staffer could contact the parent by phone? And if they say, hey, I'm on my way, that could obviously
That's the
avoid.
last bullet point on the first page.
Oh. Well, then, just the only other comment I had on it, just from more of a procedural, did either of you attend the policy committee when this was discussed?
Yes.
Okay.
I was part of the discussion in policy committee as well.
Okay. So there was no consensus. I was then at the policy committee. There was not a consensus, then, is that correct?
And it was a rough consensus.
Can I answer that? I thought it was a very spirited discussion and that we arrived at a compromise. So I'm surprised to hear this. Part of what was talked about at the meeting was also the state law for at what age a child can be left alone. And the Illinois state law has a minimum age of 14. So you can debate whether you think that's apropos too, but we did factor that in, which was partly why we raised the ages higher than this average here. There were also other policies provided us to staff as we went along. We did this policy at least 2 months possibly 3, I can't recall. But there were also other factors. Some of these things we changed came from other libraries. So I disagree. I think we did factor in other libraries when we made these changes.
For the
And-
sake, oh, go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead.
For the sake of actually being effective with the time that we have now, can we come up with some wording changes now and approve this policy with revisions? And if so, can you two, you've already provided something, can you provide something? You want to just change the age limit, Trustee Kitsinnis, basically?
My disagreement is purely with the age limit. I have no other disagreements with the
Then,
wording.
then Trustee Beckwith, as the chair of the policy committee, would you be willing to change the age limit a little bit? Or should we send this, or should we just think about it?
I'd be willing to vote on the policy as it is. It was a spirited discussion. I thought we came to a consensus, but if it doesn't carry, it'll have to go back to
Right,
committee.
Correct, okay. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
But wait, could I amend my motion then
Oh,
to?
sure.
Well, wait, do we have a motion on this? Yeah.
Oh.
So can I do that? I'll make a
Sure.
motion that we pass policy 3063 with the amendment to the second to the last bullet point, that staff may also call police at any other time at their discretion.
And that revision is okay with you?
Yes. I second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Roll call vote?
Falcapisi,
Yes.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Deal, Friedman,
Abstain?
Cotsini,
Nay.
Rivers absent. Ayes have it.
It's not a quorum. It's not a.
Yeah, it
It
is.
is 3.
The majority of
three.
those.
I'm sorry, I thought we. Okay. Now, G1, Trustee Deal, Policy 1001 Bylaws, page 63 in our packet.
Yeah, section 3.06. Section 3.06, order of business, and it says call to order, roll call, pledge of allegiance, reading of the mission statement, safety instructions, if more than 25 citizens are present. Why 25? Why do we have to have a number there?
What would you propose we change?
Well, we're citizens too, and that means that if we're all here, full board, and 16 of the audience, then we issue safety precautions. But if we're 15 in the crowd, we could care less.
What would you propose we change the wording to?
We pull the number.
So strike,
Because,
so if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying strike everything after safety instructions?
yeah, pretty much so.
Okay. Would you like to make that motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we remove all the wording in section 3.06, where it comes to safety instruction. We remove all the wording after safety instruction so that all personnel receive instruction in safety.
That's a
No
little
matter how
wordy.
many. I don't, I mean,
How about,
condense it.
How about approve policy 1001 as is with one amendment? And that amendment being strike if more than 25 citizens are present in section 3.06, bullet point 5.
Sure.
Okay. Gina, did you get that?
Yes.
So it's to approve policy 1001 as is with one amendment, and that is striking those words I just stated after. Okay. Everyone understand the motion? Is there a second? I'll second. Further discussion? Trustee Kutsinis?
I think I can answer Trustee Deal's question. The number 25 wasn't pulled out of a hat, so to speak. It had to do more with the size of the room. The reasoning was that if we were all in the boardroom, there are clearly marked exit signs. The room is relatively small. The thought was that there wouldn't be much confusion in the event of an emergency. If we're here in the large meeting rooms, however, that's where safety instruction becomes more critical. Now, the thought of 25 persons as a comfortable capacity for that boardroom is where that came from. The reasoning being that if we had more than 25 members of the public here, we would likely be in the meeting rooms rather than the boardroom.
Even if we're in the boardroom, okay, we got a clear exit out. Okay, what about the other people in the library, all the other patrons? If we're in jeopardy, are they in jeopardy?
If we're in jeopardy in the boardroom, they may or may not be, depending on the nature of the emergency.
And I'd go with me.
But either way, they wouldn't be in the room to hear the instruction.
That might be, but security's out there handling that, and we're in there trying to get out. So-
One question I guess we should ask, perhaps Ryan could tell us, in the boardroom, the actual official capacity is less than 25, is that right? Or you don't know?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. Okay.
It was a higher number that was discussed.
Okay.
I believe Noreen said
47.
40.
It was a
I was thinking it was in the 40 ballpark, but I don't know
Because
the
we
exact number.
sometimes have chairs set up along the walls as well,
Yes.
and sometimes people have stood up,
And
I
that's what
think.
she talked about.
So I think my feeling is Trustee Deal makes a valid point, and also I think that now that we have a security staff at each of our scheduled board meetings, it really wouldn't delay more than 45 seconds really of a meeting to give those kinds of safety instructions, am I right? So just ballparking it, this seems reasonable, but again, we've had discussion. Any other points before we take a look?
We get somebody new into the area, one person sitting out here that doesn't know what to do.
But Bob, his point is the person is speaking in this room, so the same could be true in here. Who heard the safety instructions that were given earlier, not the people out there? So those are kind of two separate topics, in my opinion.
Well,
If we notify through a public address system,
Oh, is that what you're, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Is that what you're saying, that when safety instructions are given at a scheduled meeting, it should go over the intercom for the whole library? That's not what you're saying.
no,
Oh.
I'm saying, we're in a meeting, and we're in a meeting, and no matter what size or how many people are here, they deserve. I mean, we know how to get out of here, okay? And some of us know CPR, some of us don't, I don't know, okay? But anybody, somebody new may be here, a visiting relative, whatever, okay? They're as important to us as any patron.
May I make, oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Farkapisi?
our patrons are very important to us. So important to us that I would guess all the people sitting at this table would not leave the room until we made sure every single patron made it out safely. If the alarm started going right now, we would say, it wouldn't matter what was said at the beginning of the meeting. We would make sure to say the exit door is right there. Let's go, everybody. It wouldn't matter if there was one person who never heard it again. As soon as an emergency happened, we would make sure that they knew. And I would personally stay behind and wait till everybody got out the door.
If you were here. Any other comments?
I've made mine.
Okay, I'll make a comment. Policies The purpose of policies obviously are to ensure safety, security, infractions, consequences, things like that. By striking the words that we struck here in the amended version, we do, of course, now open up the fact that committee meetings are also regular meetings and usually attended by only several trustees, maybe several patrons, if that. So are you comfortable, let me finish, are you comfortable in a practical standpoint of every committee meeting now having a security come in and do a little spiel? Again, it's only less than a minute or so, but is that something that steps on the practicality of those meetings?
Point of information, I'm sorry, Bob. Ron, I don't think that's correct. I think this section 3.06 specifically refers to regular meetings, which would be the 7 p.m. on the third Tuesday of each month.
Oh, okay, great. Because my thinking is committee meetings are also regular meetings. But if it's only the board meetings, one monthly board meeting, I take back my comment. Any other comments? No?
I'm done.
Okay, so Gina, if you could just read the motion so that we're all on the same page and have a roll call.
To remove the wording on the bullet number 5 on section 306, after safety instructions, if more than 25 citizens are present, just strike that phrase
Of policy 1001.
of policy 1001.
Any other comments? No further comments, roll call.
Friedman,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Cozzini,
Aye.
Deal,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Rivers absent. Ayes have it.
Okay. Point 5, oh, I'm sorry, we did that. Point 6, President's report. President is absent, so there is no President's report. Unless Point 7 on the agenda, reports of other trustees. Let's start on this end. Trustee Farkapisi, anything additional other than the written? Okay, none. Trustee Katsinas, any? Oh,
Nothing today.
okay. Trustee Deal, any trustee report, anything to report?
I'm better.
Okay, we're glad for that. Good to see you. You look great.
I got well, maybe sometime later I got a question, something here, but other than that.
Is it regarding trustee activities or something? You
Yeah,
can
it's
make that now.
regarding page 83. And it'll be a finance.
All right, then maybe we could, this is from the director's report, so we could wait till that, we get there.
Okay, I can wait. Other than that, no, I feel fine, I'm doing good.
Okay.
So,
For those of you in the audience, Trustee Deal was in the hospital recently, and we're very grateful to see that he's up and around. Trustee Beckwith?
Yeah, I had a couple things. One is that I meant to bring a handout on it, and I don't seem to have it. But there's a Rails training for trustees, May 16th, Saturday. I'm thinking of going if anyone is interested in going too. Anyway, that's an FYI.
those
Half
are-
the day was on finance, and the other half, what was the other half? Library finance, and I can't remember the other half. Anyway, Rails training. And also, I just finished taking a MOOC through the University of Toronto called Library Advocacy Unshushed. It was a wonderful course on library advocacy. And even though it's closed and it's no longer interactive, the website for it is going to be open indefinitely. So if anyone else is interested, and you can still register, you can still, there were guest speakers on video. It was a 6-week class. It was really more like an 8-week class. They said it was 6 weeks, but there was a week 0, and there were 2 weeks after the end to finish your assignments. But it was excellent, and I recommend it highly. So,
Do you know if there's a deadline to register for the Rails?
no, I don't know the answer to that.
I'll find it and send an email out tomorrow to everyone.
That way people can consider that since they might
May
not be
16th.
aware. I have a written report I'll give. In my final report as a trustee of the Warren Newport Public Library District, I want to thank the 1,638 voters who cast their ballot for me to serve another 6 years on this board. Although this total fell short of re-electing me, I am blessed by those who supported my candidacy. I want to also thank the 5,370 voters who cast their ballots for my current and former colleague, George Katsinas and Tom Colwell, respectively, who serve as trustees of this board in 2 of the available 6-year terms. Both men have the skill sets and civic-minded sense of responsibility necessary to help this board accomplish its mission, as do the sitting trustees. I have served these 6 years under 4 board presidents. From each I have learned valuable lessons. Those who have criticized or chastised from a distance would gain much greater insight by taking the next tangible step of advocacy. Serve. Not just on this library district board. Boards throughout Lake County need ethically strong servant leaders. I look forward to my next steps and depart with my head held high, knowing I took part in the democratic process upon which this country was founded. My bid for elected public office began about a year after I joined this community, a community I've grown very fond of. While on the library board, I advocated for transparency, for fairness in deliberations, for a proper understanding of the board's authority as both overseer of the library's director and underservant to the district's tax-paying constituents. Let me leave you with the wisdom of 2 verses from Proverbs 21 that has helped me immensely over the years. Every man's way is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. To do righteousness and justice is desired by the Lord rather than sacrifice. Next point is correspondence, communications, and public comments.
Okay, yes, we have a public correspondence.
This is a letter addressed April 12th, 2015 to Mr. Ryan Livergood and the Board of Trustees. Reason: my Freedom of Information Act request of March 29th and the protest filed with the State Board of Elections, State of Illinois, April 1, 2015, with regards to the use of a taxpayer-funded email address. Dear Mr. Livergood and trustees of the Warren Newport Library District, I am writing today to ask your consideration and response to the following request to please amend the library email rules and policy to encompass a provision that all the library email addresses and servers are not to be used for election or campaign purposes going forward. As a basis for the request, please find attached. These are in date order. 1. Response from State Board of Elections dated April 3, 2015, item 1. 2. My protest letter to the State Board of Elections. Oh, by the way, this is from patron Mark Stoyas, 1047 Cheswick Drive, Gurnee. 3. My Freedom of Information Act request dated March 29, 2015, and sent to me from my request. 2 emails dated March 27th with regards to your findings on the use of the library email to one of the trustees, and an email April 1st to the trustee. Item 4. Number 4. The campaign election postcard listing the WNPL.info trustee email address. Item 3. While the State Board of Elections states there is no standing policy on the use of an official email address, there is proof from the letter dated April 1st that the use of the official email is a use of a public-funded email, and that by the conversation with Ken Menzel, General Counsel of the State Board of Elections, and I quote, that a candidate using their email address that is intended for official library business on campaign literature is at least very inappropriate, but could also potentially be illegal, end quote. Please note on the front of the enclosed card that it clearly states the following. Thank you for your time. I am running for re-election as library trustee. I'm grateful for your vote Tuesday, April 7th. On the mailing side is a publicly funded library email of rfriedman@wnpl.info. This could also be construed this as the candidate was endorsed by the library and allows for a non-neutral election field and an unfair advantage. Please note and look for yourselves other candidates in this most recent election used Gmail or other social networks or media without the use of official library or taxpayer-funded email addresses and accessorial services. I end with a request that you enact a policy to protect and ensure that a taxpayer-funded and official library email address is not to be used in any type of election or campaign process other than what is allowed by state statute, State Board of Election Code, or Library Board policy. In addition, please have this letter and its attachments read into and added the transcript of the Library Board of Trustees meeting on April 21st, 2015, or whenever is possible prior to June 1st, 2015. Thank you for your time, consideration, response, and enactment of my request. Sincerely, Mark Stoyes. Attachments listed above. Attachments, item 1, State Board of Elections, State of Illinois, April 3rd, 2015, Mark Stoyes. Reason, your correspondence of April 1st. This is from the Executive Director, letterhead, Stephen S. Sandvoss. Dear Mr. Stoyes, I am in receipt of your correspondence of April 1. You have referenced what you feel may be a violation of 10 ILCS 5/9 to 25.1, the section of the law regarding the use of public funds. The penalties for violation of this section of the law are misdemeanors which are criminal in nature rather than civil. Therefore, if a complaint is filed with the board alleging a violation of this section, the board would refer to the state's attorney for action, as the board has no power to assess penalties for criminal violations. If you wish to pursue this matter, I suggest you contact your state's attorney. If I may be of any further assistance, please contact me respectfully, Sharon Stewart, Director, Division of Campaign Disclosure, 2329 South MacArthur Boulevard, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. Item 2, April 1, 2015, Illinois State Board of Elections. Regards, protest and question of a taxpayer-funded email address being used when campaigning. Dear Sir, my name is Mark Stoyes, and I live in the Warren-Newport Library District in Gurnee, Illinois. While going through some items, I noticed the attached campaign card sent in the U.S. Postal Service and was handed out by one of the current trustees running for re-election on April 7th. Please note that a Warren-Newport Library email address is used, rfriedman@wnpl.info, and the card states no taxpayer monies were used for this communication. My question is, can a WNLD email address be used when campaigning and electioneering when looking for votes? I have, under the Freedom of Information Act, requested emails to this address to see if it was used during the period December 1st to April 1st, and will follow up with that information once I have it for your further review and consideration of my protest and question. As a taxpayer, I feel it is improper and wrong that one person feels it is proper and right to use a taxpayer-funded address and server in the attempt to be reelected. There are other members of the community running for office that are using Gmail and other private venues to communicate with the voters. By using the WNLD email address, It also gives an unfair advantage against the other candidates. I'm enclosing the following information as supporting documentation for my protest. 1, copy of the campaign card, both sides. I will submit the original on request. 2, a copy of FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, requested dated March 29th. 3, a list of trustee email addresses posted on the WNLD website for comparison. Thank you for your response and consideration. I look forward to hearing from you. Regards, Mark Stoyas, 1047 Cheswick Drive, Gurnee, Illinois. Photocopies of the postcards sent. For the record, library director can make copies for any. Copy of Freedom of Information Act requested information on trustees' addresses and names. Next, item 4, copy sent March 29th, 15. Freedom of Information Act request, the Warren Newport Public Library. Dear Sir or Madam, this is a request under the Freedom of Information Act. I request copies of the following documents be provided to me. Email sent to the library email account of R. Friedman at WNPL.info from the date of December 1, 2014 to April 1st, 2015. I request a waiver of all fees for this request. If needed, I would be willing to pay for these items, but would request an estimate of the proposed fees be sent to me first for review and my approval. Disclosure of the requested information to me is in the public interest because it is likely to contribute significantly to the public understanding of the operations or activities of the use of the email address during the requested time period. I understand that some of the emails will not be available due to sensitive information or nature of the topic discussed and will leave to your discretion the items sent to me. Thank you for your consideration of this matter. I look forward to the positive approval of this request. Thank you. Mark Stoyas, 1047 Cheswick Drive, Gurnee. Ryan Livergood, from Ryan Livergood to Ronald Friedman, subject, WNPL email address on campaign literature sent Friday, March 27, 2015, 4:12 p.m. Hi, Ron. I hope all is well with you. It has come to my attention that you sent out campaign literature to patrons which included your WNPL email address. I was asked if this violated any of our policies or 10 ILCS 5/9-25.1. I spoke with Ken Menzel, General Counsel of the Illinois State Board of Elections, and he informed me that a candidate using their email address intended for official library business on campaign literature is at the very least inappropriate, but could also potentially be illegal. If you plan on printing and distributing more campaign literature, I would strongly advise you to set up a different email address for your re-election campaign and use this address on the campaign literature instead. Thanks, Ryan. From Lori Sterkula, sent Wednesday, April 1, 2015, 1:20 p.m., from ALIBRISLOVER@gmail.com. To Ronald Friedman, CC, Socrates Rivers, Ryan Livergood. Subject, election. Trustee Friedman, my question now appears to be rhetorical. When I reached out to you using the email printed on your campaign literature, it was actually a taxpayer-funded email on a server funded through tax revenue. Your automatic reply provided a phone number to reach you. Thus, without any effort, you successfully networked with anyone using your email address. I consider this an ethical violation, and perhaps our attorney can weigh in on any legal implications of having WNPLD employees assist you with your campaigning by nature of their monitoring and providing IT support for this email server. Looking forward to seeing you sitting in the public seating at future board meetings. On Wednesday, April 1, 2015, Ronald Friedman, R. Friedman at WNPL.info wrote, Mr. Kula, looking forward to your attendance at a future board meeting. Ron Friedman, Board Vice President and Policy Committee member, Warren Newport Public Library District Trustee, elected to 6-year term May 2009 to May 2015. From Lori Strikula, ALIBRISLOVER@gmail.com. Sent Tuesday, March 31st, 2015, 2:14 p.m. to Ronald Friedman, subject election. Ron Friedman, I received your election postcard. If someone wanted to provide financial support, how would they contact you? No other attachments. Any other public correspondence?
No more correspondence that we have a public forum.
Okay. Do we have memoranda from legal counsel?
No, sir.
Okay. Public comments. Visitors are asked to introduce themselves at this time and present any issues they wish to discuss. Visitors wishing to address specific agenda items will be granted 2 to 5 minutes per item at the discretion of the president, not to exceed a total of 20 minutes, and I would have to amend that as the vice president chairing the meeting. There is no president here, so I think that that would fall to me. 2 to 5 minutes per item, although I don't think I have any problems with people sharing. So, with that said, we have 2 persons on our list, Stephen Weinberg, Libertyville, Illinois, and Becky Katsinas, Gurnee, Illinois. Is Mr. Stephen Weinberg present?
I withdraw.
My name is Stephen Weinberg. I live in Libertyville, Illinois, and I'm a former trustee. I have a few comments, and I have a suggestion for the incoming board. First of all, I would like to congratulate the voters of our district because you got it right. Starting next month at the new meetings, my prediction will be there'll be no long meetings spent arguing about procedures, no worries about following Robert's rules, no disrespect, no interruption of speakers, no drama, no inappropriate conduct resulting in censures, no more trustees coming to meetings unprepared or not coming at all, no more excessive outside legal fees, no storming the administrative offices to obtain financial information, no unfounded accusations of financial misbehavior by the executive director or former trustees, no more violations of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, no more need to disguise identities, no need for rails to send in consultants, no intimidation of trustees by video cameras, no need for personal security staff, and increased presence of a new president and trustees at future board and committee meetings. Now my suggestion. I'd like to urge the new board to adopt 4-year terms for future elections. The benefit of that, I believe, will be an increased field of qualified candidates. It's been brought to my attention that in the last 6 elections, there has only been one in 2007 in which there were fewer than 3 openings. In 2005, there were 5. In 4 out of the last 6 elections, there has been at least one unexpired term to be filled. In 2017, there will be at least 4 openings. So I suggest that the term be changed from 6 years to 4 years. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like to comment? Seeing that there is no further public comment interest, we will
Ron?
move to point 9.
May I say
Let's-
something?
Can we stay on the agenda, please?
No, really?
Well, it's better if we stay on the agenda. Can you wait till the agenda item
It's,
for other comments?
it's about the public. Really?
Okay,
Just real quick.
okay, go for it.
I'd just like to thank the board and everybody that was supportive of me while I was in the hospital and recuperating. The letters, the phone calls, especially Lori Strikula, because she's a nurse, explaining what the heck was going on. And I just want to thank for the letters and flowers and all the support.
Okay, point 9, the executive director's report for April 2015, page 81 in the packets.
I think Bob has a question about this in just a second, but I just want to, if I may, start off by talking about something we're doing now. We're going to launching a word of mouth marketing campaign. So each month we're going to do a word of mouth campaign about one of the great services or programs the library offers. And this month it's something called Shout Bomb. And Shout Bomb is fantastic because you can use your phone. It doesn't even have to be a smartphone. And you can sign up via text message, and you could get text messages about available holds. If you forget to bring your items back on time, you'll get a text about that. It's really great. You can even send a text to renew eligible items. So I strongly encourage you to check it out. It's completely free to join. And also, we have the ability to send out announcements if there's a closing because of snow. Hopefully, we won't have to worry about that for a long time. So it's a great service. So it's Shout Bomb. I've got some flyers if you want to check them out. So thanks for letting me talk about that. That's our word of mouth marketing campaign. Yeah, of course. Spread these around.
Do we have a volunteer from the audience to pass these out? Thank you, Becky. And you can give 2 right here to the trustees. And trustee Dick. Thank you for that. Ryan, do you have anything about the report you want to discuss before we seek trustees' discussion?
All right.
Go ahead, Bob.
Okay, Bob, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, because,
Use the microphone, please.
sorry, under personnel,
Hmm?
the numbers listed, does that include people who are retiring? And, I mean, is that like of today or?
Yes. So if you look at the first 2, we had some transition and youth services. We lost a circulation clerk due to for family reasons relocating to another area. Then Jasmine Brown, the new Senior Outreach Services Associate, is replacing someone else that left the Warren Newport Public Library. And Joe Faust is new. That was a position that was funded in this fiscal year with the current year's budget that had been going unfilled until now. So that enables us to have facilities maintenance technicians. So we actually have someone here in facilities in evenings and weekends. We didn't have that before. That was a need of ours.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Any other comments on the executive's director report? Number 10, reports of the standing committees, policy and bylaws, meeting dates. Do we have any questions or concerns about any of the times and dates? None. Number 11, old business. A, status of van acquisition and countertops in staff lounge renovation. Information and possible action. Are you going to speak to that?
Sure, I'd love to. So first of all, status of van acquisition. If you'll recall, in the budget for this year, there are funds for a library van, which we plan on using for a lot of reasons. We can use that library van for outreach to individuals. We also plan on locating a book drop in the western part of the library district, because as we know, geographically, for those that live in the western part of the district, it can be difficult to get to the library to return materials. So we need a van that was funded, but this board had the idea, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was back in maybe September or October, there was a desire to see if we could get the van donated. And staff was asked to see what we could do to get the van donated to the library. And we've been working very hard on that. And I can't, unfortunately, we've made some progress, so I'm positive about our progress. There is a lead we're pursuing, but I'm essentially sworn to secrecy about it. So I just want to assure you that that is something we're working on, and if we are not able to get the van donated, we certainly plan on acquiring that with the money that's in the budget.
Are we talking a commercial? Are we talking a commercial van style or like a town and country?
It's like a Ford Transit, that type of vehicle, Bob. So the Ford Transit gives staff the ability to, for example, the outreach staff to get books out. It's a little bit lower, so it's more ergonomically correct. So it's. Are you familiar with the Ford Trans?
No.
No, Transit.
I know what a PT Cruiser looks like.
Maybe it's between a PT Cruiser. If a PT Cruiser and a minivan got together and made a vehicle, it would kind of look like a Ford
Okay,
Transit.
yeah, and I'm concerned about the ergonomics of moving the material from one to the other.
And staff have been heavily involved with this. The outreach staff, facilities. It's been a team effort. So it's definitely staff has had their input on what vehicle would be ideal.
Okay, and are we, if your secrecy is not to be let loose, but are we going to outfit that with inverters and stuff like the Bookmobile has? Or is it just going to be a retrieval vehicle?
Did you say inverters? Outfitted with inverters, did you say?
Never mind that question. Because, yeah, I'm not going to go into all that.
You're asking if it'll have 110-volt outlets?
Thank you.
I don't know. That's a good question. No, it will not.
Okay. Good enough.
At this point, then, I'm assuming we don't have to take action because things are being looked into, right?
Yeah, and we're very well. It's one of those things when you're trying to work with someone and get a donation. It's there are a lot of moving parts. So we're working. We've been working hard on it. I know we don't have anything to show as a result, but I assure you, we've spent a lot of time and effort on this project.
Any other trustee concerns?
What about the countertops?
So the countertops. This is a project that I think over the past 2 fiscal years has changed, and where this has gone a couple of different places. Since I came on board, the original quote to do the countertops, I guess, didn't include prevailing wage. So it was a project that was going to go out to bid. So we discussed this in I think the last Buildings and Ground Committee meeting, and it was proposed that we try to put it in the budget this year and future years as a bigger capital project. But looking at the realities of the budget for the next fiscal year, it's something that's not going to be possible. So right now we're kind of stuck on that project because we don't have enough funds that were budgeted in this year to do it. But we certainly don't have the funds next year to do it. And looking at all of our capital projects, as we discussed at the Finance Committee, it was not deemed a high priority to try to fund. Although I know a lot of staff would disagree with me because our staff, the staff room and the countertops are in poor shape.
Trustee Farkapisi.
Could you address the repairs that will be done and the cleaning that will be done in the meantime?
Yeah, what we've constantly been doing, and this is something that's been active over the past couple of years, is we've been doing what we can to upkeep that countertop. So we'll certainly continue that. It looks bad, but there's no danger, I've been told, of mold or mildew. It's basically functional. It certainly is an eyesore. It's not ideal. It certainly isn't ideal. It will need to be replaced at some point. And we discussed at the Finance Committee meeting some potential solutions to that. And I think we're working those out. There was a suggestion, could we get volunteers to come in here and do it, and all kinds of ideas. So we were brainstorming, and we're going to continue to brainstorm and see what we can do.
Any other comments?
Oh, I got 2. What countertop material are we looking at for the replacement?
I think this project has changed a couple of times. I will refer to Mr. Getty in the background.
Yeah, it's gone back and forth. I think the last time that we spoke about when we were in the committee was we were going to do the standard press board type material.
Laminate. Corian, something along that line.
Because we're still dealing with the financial side of it, we're trying to look at a couple of different new options that I just I'm talking with Ryan today. He assessed and reevaluates. So we're looking at a couple new options that we could possibly do.
I'd be interested.
But again, it all boils down to money.
Well,
And one thing leads to the next. You try to change one thing and you run into another.
in the past, I've heard you pay now or you pay later, and later is more expensive. So, okay, I just curious.
Any other discussion? Number 11B, trustee feedback regarding Rails consulting agreement. Does anyone have anything to add to that? Trustee Beckwith?
You want to talk first?
Go ahead.
Just I can't remember the due date, the 30th, you want the written response?
Yeah, ideally.
All right, thank you.
Any other comment? Hearing none. Number 12 on the agenda, new business. A, policy 3055, display and literature distribution. Do we have action? That's page 95 in your packets. Policy chair, trustee Beckwith.
I move that we approve policy 3055, display and literature distribution as presented.
Second. Anyone?
I'll second.
Trustee Kitsina seconds. Discussion. Policy 3055, page 95 on in the packet. Hearing no discussion, roll call, please.
Rivers absent. Friedman.
Abstain.
Cotsini.
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Deal. Farkapisi.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
12B, statement of economic interest. Is that something our treasurer or the directorate speaks to?
Yeah, I have an update. So everyone in this room is up to date on the statement of economic interest.
Okay, great.
So thank you for your timely attention to that.
12C, other potentially actionable items, agenda items for May 2015's regular meeting. Agenda items for next month's board meeting. Anyone? Trustee Beckwith, trustee Farkapisi.
Seeing that it's next month and it's primarily a new board, will be the majority of that meeting, maybe Ryan can send out a request to all current and board members elect on what topics they would like on the agenda, and maybe we can email you back directly and you can basically tally which ones and send it back out to everyone so that we don't make any OMA violations. We're communicating with you and not each other.
Trustee Beckwith, did you have a comment?
I was going to suggest that we put Citizen Weinberg's topic on the agenda, discussion of 4-year terms.
Okay. Trustee Farkapisi.
I'd like to propose an agenda item for policy committee, which would be to change the electronic communications to consider the prohibition of using emails for campaigning.
I believe it's 10:03. I'll look, but I'll make a note of it.
Was that a motion, though? It sounded like you made a motion.
I made a suggestion to the chair of policy committee.
Okay. Any other agenda items for next month? Trustee Deal?
Can I do something for building and grounds?
You certainly can.
Okay. Last board meetings, I was here telephonically. Thank you. Last month I was here telephonically, and you guys, I apparently heard me very well, but coming from the different rooms, this large room into the smaller room, the echo effect was phenomenal. I mean, it's just overwhelming. And for building and grounds, I'd like to discuss some techniques for reducing that for future telephonic communications.
Probably is a way to wire directly in. I think we had a
It's a-
microphone by a speakerphone, which probably is not the best, yes. So
Well-
you want to put that on the meeting agenda for next month, or do you want to introduce it into a building and grounds meeting for next month?
We'll put it into building and grounds, and I'd like Kevin there, if at all possible.
And is it something that you think may be ready for action at the board meeting next month? Because we could put it on the agenda next month too.
I think that would be a recommendation of the Building and Grounds Committee to bring it to the board.
Right.
Right.
But since you're on the building and grounds committee, I'm asking you if you feel it would be effective to put it on the next month's
Okay, we can
agenda
do
as well. Okay, I mean, you don't have to act on it, but then it's on the agenda. So we'll put, let's make a motion for that then. Just move.
I'd like to make a motion that we put, I'm getting wordy.
Issue of telephonic communication by trustees.
Noise,
at board meetings.
echo reduction,
Okay,
telephonic echo reduction.
yeah, that can all be discussed. I'll second that. Any discussion? Yes, trustee Farkapisi?
I, for one, would prefer that to be vetted and resolved in building and grounds. I agree with you, Bob. It's a building and grounds issue, not a full board issue.
Right, that's what I meant.
Well, just to clarify, because there seems to be some confusion, what we're proposing is to have it on the Building and Grounds agenda as well as the board meeting agenda, so that if something is resolved in Building and Grounds Committee in time for next month's board meeting, it can be considered and possibly voted on.
Wouldn't the Building and Grounds Committee be able to forward an action item for the agenda to Director Livergood, just like Policy Committee does? Yeah.
That too, okay.
Whatever
So we
works.
don't need a motion then, we'll just put it, you're gonna take care of it in Building and Grounds Committee, and if it's resolved, then you can just let Director Livergood know.
Yeah.
Okay, great, yes. All right. Any other agenda items for next month? No? All right, the next point on the agenda is 12C1, the first draft of budget for fiscal year 2015 to 2016.
That's for next
That's for next month.
Yeah, that's for next
Oh,
month.
okay.
So next month I will be presenting a initial draft of the budget for FY 15-16.
Okay. There's an other. Is there any other? If not, we can go to public forum. Or is the other for next month's meeting as well?
Others for next month.
Okay. So for 13 on the agenda, public forum, visitors who wish to address the board at this time are asked to introduce themselves. This item on the agenda will take no more than 15 minutes. The president, or acting president, so to speak, of the board will divide this 15-minute segment by the number of persons who have requested to speak to the board to determine the amount of time allotted to each person. The president will then call on those people one at a time to stand and address the board for no more than the allotted time. Are there any persons in the audience who would like to address the board? Okay, none. Point 14, announcements by the chair. I have none. Communications to the public? None. Upcoming calendar, next regular board meeting Tuesday, May 19th, 2015, 7 p.m. Next committee meetings, Finance, Thursday, May 14, 8 p.m. Personnel to be determined. Policy, no May meeting. Building and Grounds, Thursday, May 14, 7 p.m. Art Acquisitions Committee, Monday, May 4, 2015, 6 p.m. Other dates, Bingo in the Books event, Friday, April 24, 2015. That is just a couple days away, 6:30 p.m. And announcements by other trustees or the director. Any announcements by trustees? Seeing none. Director?
Bingo in the books, just a few seats left. We've almost got a sellout on our hands, and it's going to be amazing. So if you don't have your tickets, please pick them up. 25 to 26 basket spinner raffle, amazing prizes. It's going to be a great night, and it's all going to go to help fund the tween space. So please join us on Friday night if you haven't already signed up. Thank you.
Anyone like to move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, trustee Dio seconds. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Nays? No nays? Meeting is adjourned.